The International Monetary Fund has just released its economic outlook for Sub-Saharan Africa, and it's quite depressing to read. The title alone says, living on the edge. In a nutshell, that means a doubling of inflation, the recovery stalling, 1 in 8 people in the region on the brink of starvation, while rising costs and prices are increasing social tensions. For more on this, let's bring in Catherine Patillo. She's Deputy Director of the African Department of the IMF and joins us from Washington. Hello, Catherine. So the report is titled Living on the Edge. That sounds very depressing. How bad is Africa's economic outlook?
The title indicates that right now, policymakers in the region are facing a very, very difficult environment. And this is after a number of previous shocks. So countries had faced the pandemic and now the spillovers from the war in Ukraine, and now given very high food, fuel, fertilizer prices that are like a laser beam hitting some of the poorest countries and the poorest people, given they have large shares of food in their consumption baskets, there's really a cost of living crisis in many countries. And this is in the face then of a very difficult global environment where global interest rates are rising, financial conditions are tightening, growth is declining across the world, particularly in the advanced economies. And so this compounds the difficult environment. And then, domestically, countries are facing a range of different shocks also. You have climate shocks, drought in the Horn of Africa, one of the worst droughts in some time. And this is compounding also the food insecurity problems. And this comes at a time also with very high debt vulnerabilities. So countries' space then to deal with these problems has been compressed.
Okay, that is why help is needed. I mean, as you say, the IMF says Africa is the region in the world that is in the most precarious position. So what possible help is there, and what will that mean for Africa?
So countries need to help themselves by navigating as best they can with strong policies, but they need international support also. So the fund, the IMF, has been supporting countries with programs, then financial support, capacity support, policy advice, and the international community also needs to support with humanitarian support, helping countries that are there in debt difficulties, and providing financial support through this difficult time.
In your outlook, you say that there are, quote, significant downside risks. So things could be even worse. Am I reading that right?
That is the message now that I'm sure you're hearing coming out of these annual meetings. Globally, we are looking at a very difficult situation this year, but unfortunately, things could get worse. And as the managing director has been saying quite a bit, we need to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. And so we are looking at the countries to look at their own vulnerabilities and to be prepared that globally you could find additional shocks from tighter global financial conditions, from further downturns, et cetera. And those have spillovers into our region that countries need to prepare for.
Okay, let's wrap it up with this. Do African countries have any grounds for optimism, for example, in the medium term, hopefully in the long term too?
Tremendous grounds for optimism. I am incredibly optimistic for the region. Think of the youth population and the fact that within 15 years or so, half of the global entrance to the entrance to the global labor force will be coming from the region. So this is a huge amount of young people, who are going to be, dynamic and entrepreneurial, innovative. You think of the innovation in mobile money that happens in the continent. You're going to have large markets then, and the potential with the energy transition that I mentioned and the continent's potential there for a really positive and vibrant contribution of Africa to its own people and to the global community.